I caught my MIL reading my journal. When I demanded it back, she said, I needed to know if you were stable enough for this family. I took it, locked it away. But the next week, passages from my private thoughts were read aloud at a family gathering. She printed them as poetry and passed them out. My husband said, it's not that serious. So I made it serious. I read his messages aloud next. I 29 female married Luke 32 male almost 2 years ago. At first, his family welcomed me. Or so I thought. His mother, Sheila, seemed sweet on the outside. Always smiling, always hugging me tight. But there were little things, comments she made about my clothes, the way I talked, the way I ran my home. In this family, we don't air dirty laundry. A wife should always put her husband's plate first. Are you sure you can handle a family like ours? Those comments. Little digs. I told Luke. He always said the same thing. That's just mom. She doesn't mean anything by it. I let it slide because I loved him. One thing about me, I write. Always have. Not for anyone else. Just for me. My journal is private. Sacred. It's where I put my sadness, my anger, my hopes. I don't say half the things out loud that I say in there. It's survival. One Saturday, Luke and I hosted his parents for dinner. Just something simple. Pasta, salad, wine. I went upstairs to change. I had this weird feeling something was off. When I walked into the bedroom, there she was. Sheila. Sitting at my vanity. My journal open in her hands. Reading. Smiling. Nodding her head like she was studying a damn science experiment. I froze. I said, "What are you doing?" She didn't even flinch. She just closed the book slowly and said, I needed to make sure you were mentally stable enough to be in this family. Like it was normal. Like she was saving everyone by violating my privacy. I ripped the journal out of her hands, locked it in our fireproof box under the bed, slammed the bedroom door so hard it rattled the windows. Luke came running upstairs. I told him exactly what happened. Word for word. His face went blank. He rubbed his temples and said, She's just worried. She didn't mean anything bad. I realized, in that moment, I was alone. I bought a small camera that night and hid it in our room. I locked the box with a key and carried that key with me everywhere. I thought it was over. I thought I was safe. I was so wrong. A week later, we were at a big family party. Luke's cousin was turning 30, and they threw a huge backyard barbecue. About 35 people there. Friends, family, neighbors, kids running around. It was loud and chaotic. We were halfway through lunch when Sheila stood up with a bunch of papers in her hand. She tapped a fork against her glass. Everyone went quiet. She said, I found something beautiful recently. Our dear daughter-in-law is quite the writer. I thought it would be nice to share her poetry with everyone. Poetry? I watched in horror as she started reading my journal entries out loud. Not poems. Not nice words. Pain. Loneliness. Fights with Luke. Doubts about my life. Things no one should ever hear. Things no one should ever know. And she wasn't just reading them. She had printed copies. She handed them out like party favors. People were laughing, whispering, shaking their heads. Someone said, Damn, she's dramatic. Another muttered, Luke, you sure you married the right one? I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I turned to Luke, expecting him to do something, to say something. But he just smiled awkwardly and said, It's not that serious. She's just showing off your talent. I got up. I left. I sat in the car, hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Tears running down my face. I couldn't believe it. She had stripped me bare in front of everyone. And he let her. And that's when something inside me broke. Or maybe it woke up. I wasn't going to let this slide. If they wanted honesty, I'd give it to them. Months earlier, I found some messages between Luke and his ex, Sabrina. At first, I thought it was just casual catching up. But it got flirty fast. Remember when we used to sneak out at night? Sometimes I think about what we had. I miss how easy it was with you. When I confronted him back then, he said it meant nothing. That he loved me. That he would stop. I wanted to believe him. I didn't tell anyone. But now? Now it was time to share. I printed every message, highlighted the worst parts, made a neat little packet. I waited. The next family event was a Sunday brunch. Less people, more important people, grandparents, aunts, uncles. All the ones who whispered the loudest. After everyone finished eating, I stood up. Calm. Collected. I said, since we're all in the spirit of sharing private writing, I thought I'd share some more. I pulled out the packet, started reading. Luke's words. To another woman. The room went silent. Sheila's face went red. Luke's hands were shaking. His grandfather stared at him like he didn't even know him. I finished reading. Walked table to table. Handed out copies. Then I walked out. I didn't answer Luke's calls after that brunch. I didn't answer Sheila's either. Or his sisters. Or his cousins. I needed air. I needed space. I spent 3 nights at a cheap hotel across town. I cried. I screamed into pillows. I didn't know if I was more heartbroken or angry. On the 4th day, Luke showed up at my job. He stood by my car in the parking lot, looking like a kicked puppy. I thought maybe, finally, he understood. Maybe he would apologize. Maybe he would fight for me. He didn't. He started with, "You made me look bad in front of my family." That's all he cared about. Not what he did. Not what Sheila did. Just that he looked bad. I laughed. Right in his face. A real, ugly, bitter laugh. I didn't even recognize the sound coming out of me. I said, "You made yourself look bad." I just showed them the truth. He started begging. Promising to cut Sheila out. Promising therapy. Promising to delete Sabrina forever. Too late. I told him I needed time. I wasn't coming home yet. He asked if he could at least fix things with his mom in the meantime. I shrugged. I didn't care anymore. What I didn't know was that fixing things meant something a lot dirtier. Sheila wasn't done. She couldn't let go. She started telling the family that I was unstable, manipulative, vindictive. She said I must have made Luke text Sabrina. That I probably tempted him into it. That I was the one who made problems where there weren't any. And Luke, he didn't defend me. Not once. Not to her. Not to them. Not even to himself. I found out because one of Luke's cousins, a girl named Jordan who I barely knew, sent me screenshots of the family group chat. Every ugly thing they said about me. How they thought Luke could do better. How they were praying he gets out of this marriage soon. How Sheila was working on it. Working on it. Like tearing me apart was a job she took seriously. That's when something changed in me. Again. Something deep. Something cold. They didn't want a daughter-in-law. They wanted a puppet. And if they wanted a fight, they just got one. After Jordan sent me the screenshots, I knew I couldn't stay silent. I didn't just want out anymore. I wanted them to hurt. The way they hurt me. I went to a lawyer the next day. Not just any lawyer, one who specialized in messy divorces. I brought everything with me. Copies of the journal invasion, videos from the hidden camera showing Sheila snooping around my room, the printed out family group chat screenshots, the messages between Luke and Sabrina. My lawyer looked through everything and said, "They gave you a gift." Most people have to fight to prove emotional abuse. You have a whole case on paper. He helped me draw up divorce papers that included a restraining order against Sheila. He said I had more than enough to push for the house, spousal support, and damages. I was scared. But I was more angry than scared. I waited a week. I wanted the papers served in public. Where Luke couldn't twist the story. Where Sheila couldn't lie first. So I picked Luke's grandfather's birthday dinner. The same place where Sheila first humiliated me. I knew almost the whole family would be there. I showed up 15 minutes late on purpose. Everyone was already seated eating. Luke's face went pale when he saw me. Sheila narrowed her eyes like she could smell war. I walked right up to Luke, dropped the thick envelope of papers in front of him. Loud enough for the whole table to hear, I said, "Here. Since you all love sharing private things so much, let's share this." He opened it, started reading. His face went from white to red to green. Sheila leaned over his shoulder, saw the words restraining order, and lost it. She started screaming, shouting that I was tearing the family apart, that I was sick and evil. I didn't flinch. I pulled my phone out, opened the video from my hidden camera, and played it, volume all the way up. There was Sheila, clear as day, flipping through my journal, laughing, muttering to herself about finding dirt. The whole room heard it. Some people gasped. Some people stared at Sheila like they didn't recognize her. Jordan, God bless her, started clapping. Sheila lunged at me like she was going to hit me. Luke's uncle had to hold her back. Luke just sat there, frozen, watching everything fall apart. No fight left in him. No defense. Nothing. I left them there, in their perfect little family disaster. But it wasn't over yet, because the real twist was coming. And it was going to be so much worse than anything they ever imagined. After that night, I didn't hear much from Luke or Sheila. No calls, no texts, just silence. At first, it felt good, like standing in the eye of the storm, quiet, safe. But I knew it wouldn't stay that way. Not with people like them. 3 weeks after the birthday dinner, my lawyer called me. He said Sheila filed a police report. She was trying to press charges against me for defamation and emotional distress. She claimed I was stalking her. She even said I broke into her home to plant evidence. It was laughable, stupid, even, but dangerous because even stupid lies can spread if you're loud enough. I had to spend thousands more on my lawyer just to fight it off. I hated them even more for that. I hated that they made me defend myself after everything they did. So I went one step further. I decided if they wanted a real war, I would give them one. I gave my lawyer permission to go public, to file everything. The journal theft, the family harassment, the cyber-stalking from Luke's sister who had been tagging me in fake therapy ads on Facebook. The group chat screenshots showing how they plotted to make me look crazy. The messages with Sabrina. Everything. Made public record. Easy for any employer, neighbor, or stranger to find. Within a month, Luke's precious image in town was gone. People whispered at work. His boss called him in and warned him that his drama was reflecting badly on the company. Sheila's church friends stopped inviting her to prayer groups. A few even sent me messages apologizing for ever believing her stories. Luke's younger brother, Mark, took it a step further. He cut off the family completely. He moved 2 states away, blocked all of them, and told me through Jordan that I was the reason he finally saw how toxic they all were. He said, "You lit the match that burned the whole rotten house down." Thank you. It wasn't just them who suffered, though. I had my share, too. Some old friends turned their backs on me, called me vindictive, said I should have just let it go, said I made it all worse by fighting back. And maybe they were right in a way. Maybe if I had just stayed quiet, just walked away, none of this would have happened. But then again, maybe if Sheila had stayed out of my journal, maybe if Luke had stayed out of Sabrina's inbox, maybe if they had stayed out of my life, none of this would have happened either. Actions have consequences. Even mine. Even theirs. Luke and I finalized our divorce 2 months ago. I got the house. He got the debt. Sheila tried to fight the restraining order and lost. Now she can't come within 500 feet of me. Sometimes I still see them in town. Luke looks like a shell. Sheila looks like a ghost. Thin. Angry. Lost. And me? I'm not perfect. I'm not healed. But I'm free. And that's enough.